my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility.
There are a lot of people who wrote these eulogies for Senator Byrd in the newspapers, and I read a bunch of them, and they mentioned that he once had a fleeting association with a Ku Klux Klan. And what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. He was a country boy from the hills and hollows of West Virginia. He was trying to get elected. And maybe he did something he shouldn't have done, and he spent the rest of his life making it up. And that's what a good person does. I am grateful to Bob Byrd for many things. But one thing that no one has given enough attention to, in my opinion today, is that while he always wanted to be the best senator, and he always wanted to be the longest serving senator, he wanted every other senator to be the best senator that he or she could be. And he helped Hillary a lot when she came to represent the people of New York. I am forever grateful for that.
I think we try to have goodwill. My old mom told me, Robert, you can't go to heaven if you hate anybody. We practice that. There are white niggers. I've seen a lot of white niggers in my time. I'm going to use that word. But we just need to work together to make our country better. And I just soon quit talking about it so much.
Now, after our conversation Friday, I went back to visit with Senator Byrd, and he said there is a term I used in our discussion of race relations that people may misconstrue. And his office has put out the following statement regarding that. It is, quote, I apologize for the characterization I used on this program. The phrase dates back to my boyhood and has no place in today's society. As for my language, I had no intentions of casting aspersions on anyone of another race. In my attempt to articulate strongly held feelings, I may have offended people that I never intended to offend. Unfortunately, there are people in every race who would rather attack others simply because of ill-conceived false stereotypes based on skin color. People who do this are obstacles to positive race relations and become the stereotypes that they despise. But by working together and continually improving the understanding between the races, we can overcome these narrow-minded people and the obstacles that they represent.
Anyhow, it came to my mind at that time how I loved this grandson. And it also came to my mind that black people love their grandsons too. And the more I thought about it, I thought, well, now suppose I were black and my grandson and I were out on the highways in the wee hours of the morning or at midnight, and I stopped at a place to get that little grandson a glass of water or to have it go to the restroom. And there's a sign, whites only. Black people love their grandsons as much as I love mine, and that's just not right. And so we who, like myself, were born in a Southern environment, grew up with Southern people, knew their feelings, we knew how about the Civil War and all these things. I thought, my goodness, we ought to get ahead of the curve, really, not have the law force us to do it. We ought to take down those signs. Well, that is what made me come to the conclusion that if I had it to do over again, I'd vote against that. I'd vote against that law.
Would you change your vote on civil rights if you had to give it today?
Yes, I would. On the civil rights laws of 1964, I would. I would change my vote.
Why?
There are a number of reasons. Well, that is what made me come to the conclusion that if I had it to do over again, I'd vote against that. I'd vote against that law.
Would you change your vote on civil rights if you had to give it today?
Yes, I would. On the civil rights laws of 1964, I would.
My friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility. And I will remember him for many things, but most of all, for a heartfelt comment he made to me in the dark days following the attack on our country on 9/11. My state of New York was reeling, and we were scrambling to provide support and relief. "Think of me as the third senator from New York," he said, and he meant it. Thanks to the leadership of Senator Byrd, who chaired the Appropriations Committee, New Yorkers and Americans got the help we needed. I will never forget his devotion and his friendship in that critical time. It is almost impossible to imagine the United States Senate without Robert Byrd. He was not just its longest serving member, he was its heart, its soul, and its historian. From my first day in the Senate, I sought out his guidance, and he was always generous with his time and his wisdom. I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents, his fierce defense of the Constitution and the traditions of the Senate, and his passion for a government that improves the lives of the people it serves. As Secretary of State, I continued to rely on his advice and counsel. I've been grateful for the support he provided as a leader of the Appropriations Committee to our diplomats and development workers as they serve our country and advance our interests all over the world. Robert C. Byrd led by the power of his example, and he made all of us who had the honor of serving as his colleagues better public servants and better citizens. After more than 5 decades of service, he left an indelible imprint on the Senate, on West Virginia, and on our nation. We will not see his like again. I am heartened to know that Senator Byrd is now reunited with his beloved Irma, the high school sweetheart who became his wife of nearly 70 years, the love and light of his life. My thoughts and prayers are with their children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Robert C. Byrd left such a legacy.